Hello, lovely podcast people. This podcast, I've literally just walked out of the office, and sometimes when I hop up from my desk very quickly and walk out, it means that I need to deal with an important or urgent or annoying call or something negative, let's say, has been the recent thing in recent years. A call from a solicitor about baby stuff. And so I just got this look from Sarah of like, where are you going? That was very sudden. And I was doing a mundane job, and I was thinking about the babies, got a picture of them on my desk. And I don't fully know what made me think of it, but I've also been in a bit of a funk with work recently. With podcasts recently, over pressuring myself to do long, amazing episodes. I guess worrying a bit too much about what people think. After I always tell people, don't care, but I'm not worrying. I'm not about what people think of me. I just want to add value, and I just think, are people really going to get value from that? But you know what? You're such nice people, so many of you, that I know you just enjoy some of these little chats. So I imagine this will be a short one. It is literally a one-thought podcast, but who knows where my mind will go with it. And I also hope, actually, just giving some of these real-life insights, like a bit like a radio show that people always insult me about on YouTube. I'll get to the point. Oh, you should really have a thing. This podcast only started at minute 7 because you were just talking about rubbish. But I hope some of the little insights in terms of me being demotivated. So many people are like, how do you achieve so much? You're such an inspiration. You make me feel bad for da-da-da. And being authentic and real is one of the things I like to be. So as people don't do the whole thing that people do with social media, only showing the positive stuff, but also people comparing themselves to a highlights reel. It's very much a highlights reel. And even if you're not trying to mislead people, I don't want to depress people posting crappy stuff all the time, but just being honest and real with you right now about, I've been in a funk with podcasts. Feel like I'm not doing a great job and whatever. You can just go, do you know what? I'll give myself a break because I feel like that sometimes. So, yeah, this is a quick parenting tip, and I think it will be so short, and therefore I need to get used to doing these super short ones that people just go, do you know what? That's a good reminder for me, or do you know what? I'm just going to take that on board, or it'll trigger it in 5 years' time when perhaps they have a baby or a toddler or whoever. And actually, there you go. I've just had another thought. Baby sign language. So I'll tell you my initial thought. My initial thought is talking to children with respect, talking to children as little adults, talking to children with appropriate levels of care and communication. Now, it may be that, there are people who aren't careful with their words, no matter who they're talking to. Being true to your word it is really, really important. And it's even more important with children. They take things very literally. And so I'll give you some examples. For instance, time. Children aren't very good with time. They don't necessarily know days of the week. They don't really know minutes. That can be a real struggle. Any parents out there know about this. How long is it till Christmas? And you're like, in June. How many days is it till my birthday? And it's like, let me calculate, 217. But they're good with little bits of time. So for instance, if they're like, when's dinner? Or can you play with, that's a good one. Can you play with me? And you say, okay, in just a minute. When you full well know that whatever it is you're doing at that time, say you're making dinner for them, or you are, doing whatever, just a job that you just need to get done, and then you'll play with them and you want to play with them. But by saying, okay, in just a minute, but you just keep saying that. Whereas actually, it's stuff that I've talked about before within parenting, short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. Stop what you're doing and just going and sitting with him and saying, however you talk to him, but this is what I would say. I'd say, baby, I'm just cooking dinner, right? And I need to cook dinner for us. So you could come help me. Do you want to come help me? No, I want to carry on watching this, or I want to carry on drawing, or whatever they're doing. Okay, cool. I would love to come and play with you. I'd love to come and draw with you, but I really need to do your dinner because you're hungry, aren't you? Or because you're going to get hungry soon. So can I just, and it's this care and attention, like they just feel they remember me. I've had a bit of comfort. I sort of feel a teeny bit of emotion coming up inside me, which normally turns into tears. So I'm like trying to stay academic with what I'm talking about. But it's such an honor that they want that time with us, that they want that closeness. It's lovely to be wanted in such a way. So, but yeah, saying that to them, they get that little input, and then you can go back to what you're doing, and hopefully you don't get that nagging, which then just becomes annoying. Like, I'm not saying that it's all roses. It can be so annoying. Oh, daddy, can you help? Daddy this, daddy. It's like, you cook the dinner then, or whatever. So the point of this is communicating with care, and so treating them like a genius. And this is then what popped into my head. So don't say in a minute, say it will be 15 minutes. Some people even go to the extent they like set little timers, and their kids are flipping amazing with, like, when this bit of the clock gets to here, that's when I think I'll be able to help you. Or setting a timer, a countdown. See, when this gets to 0, we can do it. Like, I've never done that, but I'm always so impressed when I see parents like who have gone to that extent. It's super cool. It's like, oh, I'll be back in a minute, but then you're gone for ages. So, see, there's another thing. I thought of 2 different things, the baby sign, and then one thing I've always tried to do is, it's a bit like, okay, so I use this trick or whatever when they're trying to go to sleep and they want you in the room, tickling their back, or just being in the room close to them while they fall asleep. Okay, so I'll say, I'm just going to the toilet. Because I know when I leave the room, they just relax a bit, or they stop enjoying the back tickles or whatever it is, and they fall asleep. But I'll always make sure, or I'll say, Daddy's really starving hungry. Do you mind if I'm just going to run downstairs, have some food, and then I'll come back up? And then I know, and they know roughly, they can hear the microwave going, maybe they can hear him in the kitchen, and they fall asleep. But I'll always go back up, because sometimes, and this is a big thing, you'll go back up and they're not asleep. And if you just went, they'll be asleep now, I'm just going to stay down here, and they can hear you go and turn on the TV or whatever you do, it's dishonest. And then that then builds a level, or can build a level of anxiety in them next time you leave the room. So it's just really interesting, these things you learn. And I learned some of these things the hard way. I didn't go back in the morning. They're like, you didn't come back. And I'm like, oh, geez. And you feel terrible. And then, the next time you leave the room just to go to the toilet, they'll follow you into the toilet. And they get out of bed. I'm like, get back into bed. And they're just like, oh, I don't want to, So they're flipping clever. It's this whole thing of like, children don't listen to your words. Children don't do what they say. They do what you do. So the final thing, which is a super cool one, and maybe I'll do a podcast on baby sign language, but there's this sign, and I think it's been a long time now, but I think it's you rub your fist on your chest, maybe, and you can just make these up, right? Like, it doesn't. I don't actually fully know if these baby sign language is the same as actual sign language. Unfortunately, that's probably quite bad of me, but you can make up whatever sign, and we did this. We had I can't remember what I made up. One of my friends had one for, I can't remember what it was, but we had one. I used their one, which was for something, and then I just already loved rice cakes, I think, or something. So I think it was like, if you're on YouTube, you can see what I'm doing, but I'm like circling on my palm. But one of the cool things about baby sign language is, before they can talk, before they have that kind of fine motor skill and perfecting the noises, they can communicate. And actually, it really reduces frustration and outbursts. Like, imagine knowing what you want to say and saying it in gobbledygook or whatever. And then you just get these babies that cry more, toddlers that cry more, because, like, you don't understand me. What the hell's wrong with you? I want XYZ and you don't get it. So it can really help. But one of these other things, and again, it can stop anxiety and crying, is, let's say you're changing a nappy, or you're there in their cot or whatever, and you need to go and get something or go to the toilet or whatever. Lots of parents are like, oh, I don't even get to go to the toilet, I don't even get to whatever. But if you can sort of train this stuff in, and you can start so early with them as babies and toddlers. So I think this one was like, I would rub, and again, this was from the same friend who had that other one, but rubbing your fist on your chest, and which would mean, like, daddy's coming back, mummy's coming back. And they learn it so quickly, because so many times you'll just pop out, and if you just go, you say the words, you go, daddy's coming back, or mummy's coming back, or I'll be right back, and you look at them and they see you doing the fist rub, and the first few times they got no clue. But over time, they know that you're going to go away, and you're going to come straight back in. And you need to make sure it's like quite a small amount of time to begin with. Then it can, you could be away a full minute or whatever. So again, it's communication, it's transparency, I think is a good word. Like, don't tell your kid, I'll be back in just a minute, and then be half an hour. Because that might feel like a lifetime to them. So I think that's it. That was the whole crux of what I was going to say, is just talking to them like geniuses. Or in the other stuff, I don't know if I've done a podcast on consequences yet. Oh yeah, I think I did, didn't I? But it's all of this stuff, treating them like geniuses, and allowing them to make mistakes, and being the one that they can come to. And, it builds respect for them, because you say, oh, don't go under there, you'll bump your head. But allowing them to go under there and bump their head, and then go, oh, I'm really sorry that happened. Not, I told you that would happen. Cool. Anyway, super short. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't know when I'll release these. I don't want to just do loads of parenting ones on the trot, especially when they're so short, and I don't know how much value many of you will get from them. But anyway, yeah, feedback's always welcome. And I hope you are great, doing great wherever you are in the world. Much love.